two college radio DJs during the 90s. Hosts Keith and Steve helped expose bands like Nirvana, Pavement, and PJ Harvey. They went to shows, interviewed musicians, and reviewed albums for various zines and papers. They worked security at concerts and once even did load-in for Fish. Now they're dads. Whether you want to explore lesser-known music or take a trip down memory lane, tune into the New Dad Rock. Join hosts Keith and Steve as they navigate the ages together, sharing their love of music across various eras and genres. Always well-intentioned, often well-informed, seldom boring, the New Dad Rock will expand your mind.
Do you remember finding out bands from magazines?
Like Circus and Hit Parader?
Exactly, like not the internet. There's no internet. There's no MTV. Mm-hmm. I remember that's like Depeche Mode would have like a 3-page spread. It'd be amazing. Or The Cure.
What was this in Tiger Beat?
Probably. I don't know. It was like the only time I saw these magazines, because we didn't buy them ever, or my friends didn't get them either, was like at, there was this girl, and she skateboarded, she hung out with all the guys, and they had a quarter pipe in front of their house, so we'd ski up their quarter pipe. A quarter pipe is not a half pipe, so it's one half of a half pipe, and you're like going up their driveway, trying to get up, do a little turn, and not die and land back. But like she had all the cool magazines, and I think it was Tiger Beat.
She probably had all the cool punk rock bands from the 80s as well.
She did have an older sister. That's true. I think having older siblings is good. So the more kids you have, the better, because they all have older siblings.
Well spoken as an oldest child, like myself.
Well, I mean, Milo's turned out great. Like, I should have had like 5 or 6 more if I could afford them.
Yeah. Probably best we don't. I mean, we need to be dads to talk about the New Dad Rock with any conviction or expertise.
Do we? All right, hold on a second. Dude, the Foo Fighters is a good one.
Food Fighters? There's a food fight?
The Foo... There's a... We had tickets to see the Foo Fighters at Lincoln Stadium in July.
Why?
They canceled the tour.
Why do you have those tickets?
We got them for Chrissy's brother's 50th birthday party. It was like 5 bands. You know, you're 50, you get to see 5 bands.
Were any of the bands good?
Tickets to the OCs. No. We haven't done any of them. He just turned 50. We had to buy them in the future. We're not living on the East Coast yet, but we did get the...
Foo Fighters is one of the 5 bands. I thought you were saying there were 5 bands at the concert.
Yeah. No. Thank you.
Yeah.
No.
So who... Like, if you were about to turn 50, which I will be in the next... I don't know. I think my mom was pregnant 50 years ago. So what 5 bands would I want to see that are out there right now?
Oh, wait, hold on. I'm gonna answer your 5 bands. It's Iron Maiden. I got one. King Gizzard, Lizard Wizard, Les Claypool in some form. I'm gonna go with Modest Mouse. Ooh, and then there's probably a band, Afghan Wigs, or how'd I do?
Yeah.
Of your top 5.
Honestly, I would probably take 4 of those, but I would. Iron Maiden, I might actually swap out because I've seen them so many times.
Okay.
And another band that I've seen a lot of times, but not as much in the last 10 years as Iron Maiden, is Ween. I would much rather see Ween. And another band who I've actually seen before, but would really like to see again, is Mercury Rev.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so now you take like bands not together right now.
No, Mercury Rev is together. They're on tour right now with the Brian Jonestown Massacre. I could have seen them the other night, but I didn't.
I'm going to look that tour up. That sounds awesome. I saw Mercury Rev at the Independent. It was amazing.
Yeah, I saw them at Bimbos, and you're going to see King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard there. The other band I've never seen any of John Dwyer's bands. I would like to see an OCs.
Well, you've never seen an OCs show?
In any form. And of course,
never.
And you know, the number one who I've never seen is Tom Waits. So, I mean, I guess I just went against all 5 of those, but all those bands I would really like to see again.
Yeah, no. My list was based on an again, but I like your list of I haven't seen too. Mm-hmm. The bands I haven't seen, Oh, it's hard to think of, like Miles Davis. He's dead. Like I think I'd list a bunch of dead people. Like I never made to a Nirvana show. I think you might have in Buffalo.
I didn't go to Nirvana, and honestly, it was one of those things that, I mean, not to be glib about it, but by the time, Kurt passed away, they were kind of, in some ways, a little bit past.
Yeah, but also, for some reason, I imagine the Rage Against the Machine and Cypress Hill shows we went to were probably better than any Nirvana show.
Yeah, and we also saw Smashing Pumpkins around then. We saw Beck around then. We saw Ween around then. We saw a lot of those bands. And I had the opportunity to see Nirvana. I didn't take it up. And even to this day, I'm like, oh, damn. I don't feel that way. What I feel good about was seeing Nirvana on that New Year's Eve concert in...
Yeah!
Like, we watched that live on MTV, like, back in 93 or 94, and that was amazing.
Yeah, it was amazing.
I saw Unplugged live, like, when that was being broadcast, I watched that. Those two things, to me, that almost replaces seeing them live.
It does, because live mattered then. Now everything's on YouTube. Yeah. If you didn't see them, like, at the time, what many young people may not know is, if you didn't see the live thing, you were never going to see it again.
Yeah.
Or maybe you would, for the 120 minutes or whatever, or the acoustic set, but, like, you may not see it. It's live. Yeah, that's why I still like live shows.
Right. I mean, my first semester when I was a college radio DJ, I know it's in the bio, I actually was a college radio DJ. And my first semester, Nirvana was when Nirvana Nevermind came out. So we had, we're part of the promo circuit. We had that album before it came out. It wasn't released until September 24th of 91, but we at the college radio station already had it. So I was playing it at the beginning of the semester, September single digits. I'm playing Drain You on the radio station. So I had that. You were an early influencer.
You were the earliest influencer. The first influencer.
So by the time I had the opportunity to see them in 94, I was just like, whatever.
Yeah.
Because when they hit with Nevermind, it was so big. And In Utero was a good album, but it was...
I agree. It wasn't a live band I felt I needed to see.
It was more micro, yeah.
Yeah, it was also the wrong time because we'd have to drive to a show.
Yeah, we had to go to
Buffalo, right? Yeah. So after 97, or 96, 97, when I got to San Francisco, I have no excuses for anything.
Yeah.
I gotta tell you, literally my favorite show was Juice WRLD ever. But I think I have a recency bias for everything, which I think is cool. That's why you go to more shows. You're like, that show was awesome too. Like, I have tickets for Porches on Monday, King Gizzard, Lizard Wizard. I'm pretty sure I have more tickets. I'm going to Public Memory, which is a band Darren likes in Oakland next week. Like, I love shows still.
Yeah, I'm just too far out in the suburbs. I would have gone last week on the same night as Mercury Rev and Brian Jonestown Massacre. They were playing Brooklyn Steel. Same night, Sparks was playing at the Town Hall which is in Times Square.
You mentioned Sparks the other day in a text message. Who is Sparks?
All right, so Sparks is I guess they're actually brothers. They're real brothers, not like Gene and Dean Ween, who are fake brothers, but actual brothers. And I first heard of them because they did an album with Franz Ferdinand. Do you know Franz Ferdinand?
I do.
Franz Ferdinand is like a Scottish dance punk kind of band. Started out in the early 2000s.
Yeah, they got good songs. Yeah, totally.
They have like 5 or 6 albums. I think they're really catchy. They're really fun. They're kind of synth-based. They're kind of poppy. I enjoy them.
I like their songs.
Anyway, so they did a collaboration album with Sparks, maybe back in 2015 or 16 or so. Uh-huh. And I was like, oh, what is this Sparks thing? And Sparks turns out to be this band that started way back in the early 70s. Like, they're 2 brothers that are older than my dad. Maybe, I don't remember how, and probably your dad too, Keith. My dad was born in 48, so.
Yeah, my dad was 46.
Yeah. So I think it's an older brother who might be a little older, and the younger guy might be 46 or 48. Anyway, they started out in the 70s as like, you know, any 70s kind of pop, guitar-driven pop band might sound. So Todd Rundgren is the guy who finds them, and it's basically his girlfriend is also like the girlfriend of the singer of Sparks, and she's like, you should check out this band, and so they released an album as Half Nelson, which was their band, and it doesn't really do anything, and so a couple months later they're like, all right, let's do this, let's put a new cover on the album, and you guys are now called Sparks. And they released the album, and it became like a minor hit. Like, it was the same record. They just put a new cover and a new band name on it.
Yeah, I've thought about that a lot. That makes sense.
It makes perfect sense. So anyway, they started out in the early 70s, and they played a couple albums as this, you know, if you think of the early 70s guitar-based rock band. And then their third album, they fired the rest of the band, moved to England, and started becoming like a synth-based band. And one of the first songs that they had out was This Town's Not Big Enough for the Both of Us, which coincidentally, you know this song because you've been hearing it recently on an Apple ad. And it's like, this town's not big enough for the both of us. And it has this very choral singing, and it's like, do, 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 do. And one of the things it reminds you of immediately is Bohemian Rhapsody. So one of the things, you know, I've been familiar with Sparks, so I know them. And I was flipping through Netflix the other night, and I see there's a documentary on Netflix about Sparks, and it's directed by Edgar Wright. Do you know Edgar Wright?
No.
He worked with Simon Pegg. They kind of came up together. They did a couple movies together, like Shaun of the Dead and Hot Fuzz. Anyway, so he's a director, and he directed the documentary. I'm like, oh, Sparks and Edgar Wright. Let me watch this. So I just watched this documentary, and I'm all of a sudden the next day I'm hearing this commercial for Apple, and it's This Town's Not Big Enough for the Both of Us. And anyway, in the documentary, what they're showing is around this time, which is like 1974, Sparks is big enough to be the headlining act on tours. And one of the opening bands is Queen. And you're hearing this song that's like prototypical, similar sounding to Bohemian Rhapsody. And meanwhile, it was like years earlier, and Queen had been one of the opening acts. And I'm not suggesting that Queen stole the song. You know, Queen wrote the song on their own, but it was not as singular or, you know, as big of a departure from the rest of the music of the era as you might think, because that became the lodestar for that type of song. But Sparks did the same thing 2 years ago.
Wait, I'm sorry. What was the same thing they did?
This Town's Not Big Enough for the Both of Us.
Oh, the same song.
Listen to that song, and then listen to Bohemian Rhapsody, and then understand that Sparks was the headliner, and Queen was the opening act. That was the song they played, and Queen had not yet written Bohemian Rhapsody.
That's pretty awesome.
But the crazy thing, they go through, and they were always on the cutting edge. They were in like 1978 or 79, they did an album with Giorgio Moroder. And, you know, he had kind of became this go-to electronic artist and inspired a lot of people. You know, Daft Punk wrote a song about him, you know, just a couple of years ago. But they were always on the cusp. They were not afraid to reinvent themselves along the way. And throughout the 70s, they were always almost one step ahead of the trend. Mm-hmm. And therefore were popular and successful enough, but they didn't become the big song. They were kind of the early adopter of a type of music. Mm-hmm. And then the popular music came and absorbed that a couple of years later, and they had already moved on. They did duets with the Go-Go's remember Jane Wiedlin of the Go-Go's in the early 80s. Like they were there at all of these critical points, but almost were too early, and continue to put out albums. They have like 25 albums or something, and they're still continuing to this day.
Yeah, I have a lot of albums to catch up on.
But Sparks, I would check out the album Number One in Heaven. Mm-hmm. And I would look for the song This Town's Not Big Enough for the Both of Us. Would probably be my first way in. But they have many different ways to get in.
What made you bring this up tonight?
You asked me what I had been listening to, maybe.
Yeah. How'd you find Sparks? Sorry.
So Sparks, I knew about from Franz Ferdinand, and then I was flipping through Netflix and saw the documentary.
I see.
Directed by Edgar Wright was there, and I was like, oh, let me watch this.
That's cool. Did you see the Jimmy Kimmel one where the kid put the dad's CD into his car and found out his dad wrote a song like 50 years ago that was never released?
Yeah, wasn't that guy? He was in a pretty popular band though too, wasn't he? Wasn't he like in?
Was he the roadie or the bassist for another band? Is that what you're saying? Yeah.
I think it was more than that. I think he was like a participating member in like Boston or something.
Yeah, it was Boston. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so it's not as crazy because he was already that awesome. All right, fine.
Yeah.
But it was a good song.
Yeah. So back to Sparks, their first album, Half Nelson. Again, it was like a 70s kind of generic AM radio rock. Come On to My House, that was their third album. That was the one from 1974. Another one, Number One in Heaven, that was 1979. That was the Giorgio Moroder album. Angst in My Pants in 82, that would be another album I might consider as an entryway. But they've been putting out albums steadily over the last 40 plus years.
That's amazing.
And hugely influential. And that's one of the things that you get watching the documentary. Like Beck is up there saying how great they were. Thurston Moore is up there. Just talking about the influence he had. Members of Depeche Mode and
that's pretty awesome. Yeah.
And Duran are on there, and it's
Duran, woo!
Yeah. So Sparks, one of those bands that they're part of the DNA, and you don't even realize it.
A dad's rock. I like it. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah. As you know, on the New Dad Rock, we're always looking to go a little bit deeper and a little bit left of the dial.
We're the New Dad Rock.